I'm Julliane Cowley, Australia's Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City. And I'm really thrilled to be invited to be one of the keynote speakers at the LIN conference. I've spoken to a number of people who've been at the LIN conferences in years previous, and there's something that's common that people share with me, and that's about the energy and the vibe in the room at this conference in particular. So of course this year we can't be in a room together, but it doesn't mean that we can't bring our energy and our passion and connect together. So thank you to Lynn and all the sponsors for doing this today. I've been invited to talk about partnerships, and I'm not sure when the organisers invited me to talk about partnerships that they knew that this was one of my most passionate topics. I'm conscious I only have 10 minutes today, so I will try and stick to that. But partnerships are something that I really, truly believe in. And that's because I think they're the only true way that we can come together to solve pretty intractable kinds of issues and problems. The kinds of issues that community and society are facing are really complex, and they're all interconnected as well. So that obviously means that the response also needs to be pretty interconnected. When I talk about partnerships, and I want to just spend a little bit of time explaining what I think about and the definition of partnerships. For me, partnerships is really about cross-sector partnerships. So when you have different organisations, different entities coming together to work on something, that might be government, community, private sector, NGOs, a whole range of different community organisations coming together who have worked out where their common agendas lie and a goal that they're going to work on together. So they're not easy to do well, but when they are done well and when they're structured in this way that there's a really clear common goal, they can do some pretty amazing things. And I really believe that the outcomes that you can achieve by working in partnership aren't necessarily achievable by entities working by themselves. So it's about pooling the resources and the really unique offerings that government, private sector or NGOs might bring to the table. I think at the heart of it, partnerships are about being inclusive. So that's my definition of what we're talking about today. When I'm talking about partnerships to people, I often find it's just really easy to give an example of one. And one of the most simple ones that I've seen, but really effective, was in the field of financial literacy. So if I think back, this is going back a number of years, but there was a government program that wanted to look at increasing financial literacy in a community. And they looked at a community, particularly where there'd been generational unemployment. And they went to an NGO. It was a pretty simple ask. They sort of said, look, we'll do a dollar for dollar matching program. And for the children of those families who didn't have access to formal banking or hadn't really had much exposure to financial literacy before, the government offered every dollar that the child could save and the family could save, they'd put $1 as well. When they hit a certain target, the children would be able to take that money and buy an educational resource, laptop, something like that. So pretty straightforward, really. The part where it got interesting was when the NGO thought to invite a pretty non-traditional partner to the table. And they reached out and invited a bank to come to the table and partner in this arrangement. Why a bank? Well, financial literacy. Who knows more about finances than a financial institution? But it was a risk because, of course, what is the bank's primary motivation? To make profit and to see more customers. And they saw a very clear business opportunity to support a community, to do good for their brand and to have customers and consumers. And my argument is that that's a good thing. That's what can make partnerships really sustainable when organisations are working in an area that is part of their core business. And so the interesting thing about this was it was designed really well. And I think partnership brokers are really important to put these together. So for the NGO, they were able to protect the vulnerable community and not necessarily pass those names across. They had the credibility and they brought that to the table. The bank, a lot of knowledge, sustainability, they were able to fund it much longer than the government could to scale it up in terms of size and the time that partnership could work together for. So, and they got a lot out of it and were able to address their core business needs. And of course, for government, it was a fantastic opportunity to seed fund a project that could go on and continue on. So I think that's a simple example of a partnership that found a common way to work. None of those partners could have achieved the outcomes if they were working by themselves. But it took the creativity and a bit of bravery on behalf of the NGO to bring that non-traditional partner and structure it in a way where everyone was really upfront and transparent about their interests in the partnership. And it could be designed in a way that community outcomes could be achieved as well. So that's a simple example, but I think a really good one that illustrates why partnerships can be really powerful if they're structured well. I'm going to move on to talk about COVID. I'm presuming you're not tired of talking about COVID. I think we're all tired of talking about COVID. But COVID is something that is, of course, presenting new challenges. And therefore, I think we need to come up with new solutions. It's our chance to be creative. And really, I want you to think today, and for all of us to be thinking, who do we need to invite to the table to address these challenges? Who mightn't have been there before? And what are their interests that we can draw on to come together collectively to address these new challenges? For the Australian government, we have a really clear interest in making sure that the solutions that we come up with address and further gender equality. And, you know, I think there's a lot of research that demonstrates that when you empower women and girls, and when you give women a voice in design, at the table, in having a real say in the direction of programs, and you empower them economically, really importantly. In Vietnam, one of our flags, and I thought I won't have enough time to talk to you about the whole program today, but I just wanted the 3 pillars explain how we're working with non-traditional partners. And so one of those areas is gender lens investing. And we've really gone to the venture capital firms to be engaged on this, really non-traditional partner to work with. But of course, women are an underserved market in venture capital firms. So we're bringing that traditional partner to the market and partnering them up to make a big impact there. VBCW, the Vietnam Business Coalition for Women's Empowerment, again, the non-traditional partner, the private sector, working again to get them to address gender equality, which is really powerful. And finally, the 3rd pillar in investing in women is about challenging gender norms. And we're working with academia to present empirical evidence and research that demonstrates why empowering women is so powerful and the results that can come from that. So that's just a quick example of the way in which government is really seeking to work with potentially non-traditional partners in development, in achieving the goals we want to. I'll just finish off on a couple of quick reflections about today. So my main message is that you and your organisation and the issue that you're working on will be really well served if you think about working collaboratively. Who can be at the table that mightn't have been there before? And it's your opportunity to be really creative in thinking about that. So that's the first challenge. Second message, bring a gender lens to anything that you do. So even if you think you're working on something that isn't about women or girls, I can guarantee it will impact on them. So make sure that your impact is a positive one on women for whatever you're doing, and take the time to apply that and think. Be really thoughtful about what are the gender impacts of the work that you're doing. And thirdly, it's more on a personal note, but I think it's really important, and particularly now more than ever, surround yourself with positive people, energetic and passionate people who can bring all their knowledge and experience and who are willing to share, to work inclusively and collaboratively. It's really our opportunity when you get these passionate people together in a room and working on something, even in a virtual room. That's when exciting and amazing things can happen. That's my 10 minutes. So thank you very much for giving me this platform and opportunity. Hopefully there's been something there of interest. I need to give a plug to PBAS, so the Partnership Brokers Association. That's where I did my partnership brokering training a long time ago, but they have fantastic resources available if you want to find out more about the structure of partnering. So I'd recommend that. Finally, normally at these opportunities, I would have a stack of business cards, and it would be my chance to, at the end, hand them out and have a conversation to hear from you. What are you doing and what's your interest? And that's the most valuable part that I think I'm missing out on today. So I'm on Twitter, Cowley_Julliane. The organisers have my email. Please reach out. I'm more than happy to hear from you, and I would really like to connect And that's my 10 minutes. So thank you very much. I hope you have a very successful conference, and thank you again to Lynn and the organisers.